Welcome in, guys. I am back on the quarterbacks for the 2020. I'm back on the quarterback class. We're gonna stick with this for a while. And today's quarterback, come on down. We're talking about Carson Beck from Miami. Again, I'm looking at this guy. Screams to me as a back. It was like he's gonna be probably a third choice quarterback. I'm not really impressed with what I've seen. So I'm gonna be real. He looks again decent, but he's just a third choice to me. Let's talk about him anyway. Games that I saw him on tape were Notre Dame, Cookman, South Florida, Florida State, Louisville, Stanford, SMU, Syracuse, North Carolina State, Virginia Tech, and Pittsburgh. Now, when you look at his tape, um, he again he is a pocket passer, so again in pocket he's fantastic as a pocket passer. He's and if you look at his size, he's got that size that definitely what would suit the NFL. Especially with being a pocket passer and as a pro. He's quick. He's compact on release and high level. He's a consistent. He's consistent mechanics as well. So he's not one of these guys who are very inconsistent with the mechanic movements. Carson Beck is pretty consistent with his mechanics. Unlike being a pocket passer. Again, he size wise built for the NFL would definitely be a good backup choice if you wanted him to be that. He's not going to be one of the guys that for me would be a starter. So if you're again one of these teams that if you're looking at, and if you're one of these teams, especially this year, and you're one of the positions is quarterback, I wouldn't be looking at Carson Beck and going, or if you want a backup quarterback, just somebody on like just to fill numbers off, I would definitely have him in there. But yeah, he's a good pocket passer, and that's really, if you watch a lot of his tape, the games I've seen him in, he was great in the pocket, didn't look too like didn't look too under pressure. He composed himself very well. And then this what will lead into my second thing. What I've got here is progressing in decision making. Again, he's very smart at decision making and really making those instinct moves. Making moves progressively and effectively. I think when we talked yesterday about Sawyer Robertson and how sometimes his decision making would kind of be questionable. Sometimes you're looking at Carson Beck here, and definitely for me, his progression in decision making down the field is a lot better as you go and watch his tape here. Very fast. He's got an effectiveness about him as well. And then a few more that I've kind of got here for his strengths, but his accuracy and touch when he's on the ball demonstrates a high accuracy and touch, particularly in like short to intimate 10 to 12. When he's in that 10 to 20 yard range, he's got a very accurate throw about him, a very great touch about him. He can find the wide receiver easily, especially if you put him if he's you bring him on maybe the second half of the game. In that 10-20 yard range, he's very dangerous in that position. You would not want to be having him in that position when deep in late in the game, because he's just so effective at finding a passer, finding somebody that can really he can really cause some problems and impact the game in that way. Again, he is a regular starter. He's been playing at Miami for a couple of years now, so he is established as a starter. He's a seasoned starter. He's got great high leverage. He was in a college championship game. He had a great college championship game run with Miami. So again, he's got that experience of being in a championship game, having that winning type mentality. And then really, the last thing I'm going to talk about, really what I've seen about his tape was he's shown that he's improved on his ability to escape the pocket and to throw on the run. That was something that really impressed me. Sometimes where a lot of the quarterbacks today, where they'll kind of when the defenders get in the pocket, they'll kind of struggle to get out of it. They don't have a really way to get out of it, and they just make really poor decisions. But you look at Carson Beck, and he can just escape out of the pocket and then throw on the run fantastic well. His mobility has improved tremendously, and that's just great. And then we'll talk about his weaknesses here, like couple here, like his deep ball consistency, his deep ball inconsistencies. He can sometimes when you look at his tapes, he will struggle with consistent accuracy. His consistent accuracy or deep throws. Sometimes he's lacking the need. Sometimes he's lacking that needed velocity in a tight window. So when he's especially when he's in a tight window, his deep ball throws can be very hit and miss when he's in a real tight window, and that will be a huge problem when he's throwing to hit deep throws in really tight windows. I'm not talking about like in the pocket, so I'm talking about really he's just open, and he's when the defense is really tight on him and he cannot get out. That's really one thing here. Sometimes when he's under pressure, that's why I said earlier that I think he'll be wide receiver 3 if he does get drafted or if he's an undrafted pick, because sometimes when he is under pressure, you could see this on tape, his mechanics and his footwork can break down and resulting in some bad decision making just in general, and he can just make inaccurate throws or just play too much of a deep ball, and ultimately that is a huge really problem. Again, you can get away with that at the college level to an extent, but when you're in the NFL and you're going to face elite level defenses, you're not going to get away with that. So again, he just doesn't know how to stay calm, and sometimes when he's under big pressure, I think when he's under pressure, he doesn't know how to stay calm and relaxed and just think this through. He wants to be too rash and go, oh, let's throw it out, and then he throws it way too far. He throws deep balls way too wide. Ultimately, it makes him look stupid. Makes the offense look stupid. He is limited as a playmaker. Again, he can move with his feet to an extent, but again, he's not too good as a dual threat quarterback. As a dual threat quarterback, he's not the best, and he struggles to create things outside of like design structure. So again, if the defense is heavily going after that design structure, he's not that creative enough to get out of that situation. It's with the under pressure thing I'm just talking about now, and actually makes something very little and then make it mean more. That's the problem with him having limited mobility. Again, he has got some mobility, but very limited playmaking to his game, which ultimately leads him to doing which ultimately limits him from being a dual threat level type quarterback. And then kind of last two here, he's inconsistent with ball placement. Sometimes you would see that he's occasionally missed on leading receivers, and then he's limited his yards after the catch. You could see that at the combine, and then sometimes turnovers. He's kind of a bit of a turnover machine. He had especially not this past season, but 2024, he had a heavy turnover number. Turnover quite a lot, especially at 2024. 25 was okay, but actually his second to last year of college, turnover tremendously. So again, if you're looking at getting this guy, and if he is going to be your start, again, if he does start, or if you're going to have him as a cameo, you need to make sure you have some protection around him, because if this guy's exposed, especially with the under pressure and his limited mobility with the playmaking and his deep ball, his inconsistency with the ball placement, again, I just don't see him being definitely not a starter for me. I'm gonna, like I've said at the beginning of the video, I'm gonna say that he's a wide receiver 3, and there's no problem with being a wide receiver 3. I don't say, oh, he's a wide receiver 3, that he's doomed. No, if you're a wide receiver 3, that's not bad, because you're still on the practice, you're still on the squad, you're just gonna be on the practice squad, and then if the quarterback 1 and 2 are injured, you bring this guy on. Now again, is he going to be the guy to win you a championship? Absolutely not. But if again, if your starting quarterback's injured and your second quarterback's injured, and you bring this guy on for again for for however long, it's not going to be the end of the world. But yeah, for me, he's going to be QB3 in this. He's a QB3 kind of squad, kind of a squad in practice squad as a QB3, and I can definitely see him being like a late day 4 pick, maybe later rounds. Like you're probably thinking probably a day 3, really like a really late day, a mid day 3 pick, maybe early day 4. But yeah, if you guys have seen him on tapes, let me know. Hype up the video, and I'll be back soon, guys.